Well, hello there and welcome back to the Thai Expat Daily Show. I'm your host, Kieran Mack, as always, and delighted to be here with you today. Now, today's show is a little different than the norm, and as I promised you last week, we're going to do different shows each and every week, and not every day will it be related to the news, and we're going to discuss other things other than the news. So today we're going to be talking about the cost of living in Phuket in 2023, or at least from my point of view as a working expat married to a Thai here. But before we get into today's show, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and give us an old share, whether it's on Facebook or Twitter or wherever, if you have a chance. And if you think it'll be valuable to other people, would love to hear about it. If you'd like listening on your podcast player, there is a link down below. Will take you to a little website from Buzzsprout, and that has all the podcast players that we're available on, which is close to 25 now at the moment. So we're definitely out there in terms of podcast and players. So yeah, you can listen to us on the go, save us for another day, whatever you like. But today's show, as I said, is all about the cost of living here in Phuket in Thailand in the year 2023, or it could have been 2022. Not much has changed in the last month. But before we start about all of that, I think it's worth noting that since I've arrived in Thailand, the cost of living has significantly increased. Now, I moved to Thailand in 2012, and I have to say it was a great move for me and kind of the lifestyle. But, I am 46 years of age. I have been living here, yes, for close to 10 years now, just going on 11. I thoroughly enjoy Thailand. I love it as a country. It's great. Obviously, there's certain things that will annoy us all, and we speak about them in the news all the time in terms of corruption and, things that I think get in the way of expats having a more successful life here. But nevertheless, I want to talk about the cost of living and what it is from my perspective. Now, before I start as well, it's always worth noting that some things, that we buy or we prioritize in life will not be the same for everyone. It'll be different from one person to the other. So I may prioritize having a car over a motorbike, and you may say, oh, why would you have a car? So, we're all different and we're all have our own needs and wants. And I think it's very important that, as individuals, we have these things. But the first thing we are going to talk about is housing here in Phuket. From my point of view, we own our own house, or at least my wife owns our house, because in Thailand, a foreigner cannot own land. However, there is ways that you can protect yourself if something were to happen to your wife in the future. For instance, death, pass away, whatever it may be. And there are ways to protect yourself. And yes, it's legally done, and there is certain ways. And actually, I'm going to talk about that in the future in another show, because I think a lot of expats don't know about this. But nevertheless, we'll move on past that for now. So we own our own house. We have a mortgage. We pay approximately 30,000 per month for our home. And of course, this 30,000 also includes our home insurance and the life insurance policies that are on both of us. Now, I'll explain in another show as well, when I'm talking about protecting yourself, how you go about getting a mortgage in Thailand if your wife, for example, may not meet the financial proof that's needed to be able to get a mortgage. And there's ways that expats, partners of Thai citizens can go around doing that, but it's with specific banks only. We pay approximately 30,000 per month. Now, that varies greatly. When I first moved to Phuket and I was living here, I was paying 5,000 baht to rent a place, and it was perfectly fine at the time. And then we moved to another place and we were paying about 10,000 then. So prices in Thailand and in Phuket in particular, and it's also worth noting that Phuket is quite an expensive place to live in compared to certainly other parts of Thailand. So it really depends. In Phuket, you can pay anything from 5,000 baht per month up to 80, 90, 100 grand per month to rent a place, and that's not even to own it at the end of it. So it is, the market is very, very different. I know people that live in Patong and pay 5,000-6,000 baht per month and stay in a kind of like a hotel kind of guest house, and it includes their electric and everything else, and even housekeeping, once a week in the place. So yeah, it all depends on what you want and the comfort that you live. But when I moved to Thailand, I moved here to live, so hence why we've kind of bought a house. But it doesn't mean we're always going to be stuck here. We always have the option to rent and move on and, go to another country, go to another part of Thailand if we want to. So absolutely, completely different for everybody and what you kind of want to do. Now, the second thing that you'll obviously think about when you think of the cost of living here in Phuket is transportation. And there's, of course, really not that much for an expat. Look, The public transportation, it exists, but it's not great. And certainly I wouldn't say it's very dependable. So that leaves you 2 options, really, or 3. You can get a bicycle. And some people do, but to be honest with you, on a bicycle on the Phuket roads is just a bad accident waiting to happen. Then the other option is obviously a car, a motor vehicle of some sort, or a motorbike, a scooter. And they're kind of your choices. And it all depends on what you want. Expats working here in Thailand, right, with a valid work permit can get financing, a loan to get a car or a motorbike. And it's actually not very difficult to do at all. You normally have to put down a little higher of a deposit. Okay, and you have to ensure that you have reasonable credit. They will check your credit, and if you have nothing on it, they actually think that's fairly good here. But yeah, that's it, and you can get it. And when it's finished and the financing is finished, that car will be in your name, and it can be in your name, or that motorbike can be. So yes, we have a car. We pay approximately 20,000 per month. We finished paying it this year, so that'll be a less of an expense gone. And we put approximately 4,000 baht in gasoline into it each and every month. And then our insurance is approximately 17,000 baht per year. And that would be for what they call first class car insurance here, which basically covers you for pretty much everything that could go wrong. And yeah, it's very valuable. For us, having a car, and a decent car, a comfortable car, is an important part for us because I drive a lot. So I enjoy driving. I'm one of these people who likes being on the road. But yeah, I like a little bit of comfort too. So obviously that depends, and it's completely on your lifestyle, how you want to live. And these things are all different. Now, electric, okay, this is utilities we'll get into next. Utilities are an interesting thing. Now, our house is quite big, but our electricity bill is between about 1,800 to 2,500 Thai baht per month. Really, we only run the air conditioner in the bedroom at night time. And occasionally in the living room it gets very hot. But actually recently, in the last couple of weeks here in Phuket and surrounding area, it's been quite cool at night time. So no need to have any air conditioning on. Just a simple fan in the room would be more than enough. But that's, average. But the prices have been sneaking up as well over the last 6-8 months, ever since, the issues with the war in Ukraine and, what's gone on around the world. That Thailand has not been unaffected either. Now, water. Water, yes, we pay for water here. The most I've ever seen a bill for was 150 baht. So not anything too crazy, to be honest with you. It's just the way it is. Internet. We pay about 700 Thai baht per month. We have fiber optic internet. I can only say that it is excellent. Probably better than the internet that I ever had when I lived in Europe or America. It's flawless. And the service, I have to say, we're with a company called 3BB, and the service from this company, from my perspective and my experience, is second to none. I remember having the internet go out 4 o'clock on a Friday evening, and I remember calling them up to say, listen, something's after happening, and they were on their computer saying, yeah, it seems to be just your house, there must be something wrong. Well, we'll send somebody in the next 24 hours, and we're like, all right, fair enough. So no internet for the night. And of course, there's a lot of people now, their internet is their TV too, like you need the internet bit to watch television. But sure enough, an hour later, a 3BB serviceman turns up at the front door. He was on his way home. He saw the call in the system, and he said he'd drop in because it was the weekend and he'd get it fixed because he figured you'd probably want your internet at the weekend. And that was the level of service. Came out, he realized what was wrong, something had disconnected outside, and he fixed it all up, done and dusted. And that's the kind of level of service, Even I complained once that the speed of the router of my service seemed to be below what I was paying. They were there the next morning with a brand new router and readjusted everything to get me to the speeds that I was paying for. But that was the level of service. And that's 700 baht a month. Not bad. Now, TV and all that, most of the stuff is IPTV, comes through the internet. But, Netflix and all your bits and bobs, that all adds up a little bit over the course of the month. And as I was doing this cost of living, I realized I'm paying about 800 baht a month for Netflix, HBO and Prime Video. But don't tell the wife, okay? Another very important thing for expats here in Thailand is to have health insurance. Now, as we live here, as I work here, I'm entitled to social insurance, and I can go into any public hospital and I can get treated, and generally it's either free or there's a very nominal charge for things. But I do also have private health insurance because I don't think you can ever be too insured when it comes to your health. So the health insurance that I have doesn't really cover me for, like, what do they call it? Outpatient visits. There's a certain amount, but for inpatient, if I had to stay overnight or whatever, it would be fully cost. And we pay about 3,500 baht per person for that. It's with a local company, AXA Krung Thai, here in Thailand. It's a combination of a bank and an insurance company, but the product that we're on actually isn't sold anymore. They discontinued it, but because we're still there, they continue this project or this promotion for people who had already paid into it. Now, food. I can't tell you what we spend on food, can't tell you what the cost of living. It all depends on what you want. Do you want to eat out every night? Because going out and buying food on the street is very easy here in Thailand, as many people will know, and it can be quite cheap. But then if you live at home, you might want to cook, you might want to do that. And I can't tell you how much, because it's just, we also have Grab Food, we have Food Panda, all those delivery services. So yeah, it could be anything at this stage, but I'll skip it, right? No idea. And my other big expense at home, each and every month, is my 2 dogs, who seem to, after looking up and putting together this little list of stuff, seem to cost me a mini fortune every month. So between both of them, they come in at about 4,000 baht per month. Now, I'm pretty sure that it could be more because the wife possibly spends more than I know. These dogs are treated as if they're children in the house, so they seem to get whatever they like. But yeah, that's another expense, obviously. And of course, when you get animals, and you have dogs at home, and you're going to look after them, you're going to bring them to the vet when they need to be brought, you're going to feed them, and you always want the best for your pet, and I call them companions nearly, at this stage, because that's what they are. They give unconditional love, and that's the one thing I love about animals and dogs and cats and things like that. But that's in general what the cost of living for me as an expat here in Thailand is, and a working expat at that. I think it does obviously vary for each and every person and what you want and the lifestyle that you want to live. I could have easily, when I was moved here in 2012, I could have easily lived on 40,000 baht per month. Easily. I had I had a motorbike, a small little motorbike, but that was my wife's. And we had paid very little for rent, as I said, and all the other things. When you're paying very little, your expenses are significantly lower. But as you decide where your career wants to go and what you want to do, these things, you indulge a bit more in life. And for me, having some nice things is important, but it's not the main thing. But enjoying life and feeling that freedom to do what you like and enjoy it is very important to me, and I'm sure very important to other people as well. We all want to feel comfortable in our lives, and that's the main thing. With me saying all of that today, what about you guys out there? For expats who live here, you've heard those kind of figures that I've put out there. What is your kind of cost of living on a monthly basis here in Thailand? Obviously, as I'm in Phuket, and Phuket is a very expensive place compared to the majority of Thailand. If you're living in the north of Thailand, what is your kind of daily or monthly expenses there? I'd be quite interested to know other people's opinion. And then for people who are listening from abroad, who aren't here in Thailand, who are in the other parts of the world, the figures that I put out there, how does that compare to your own country? Do you find some of it surprisingly expensive? Do you think some of it's cheap? I'd love to know your opinions, as always, guys, down below in the comment section. And I intend to do maybe one show like this every week where we look at something different, more in tune with expat life and what it's like to live here. And hopefully next week we'll talk about jobs here in Thailand for foreigners, what type of jobs, the kind of pay scale, because I'm trying to get this information from different people that I know, so I can put together a better kind of list for you guys, a broader list, something that you'll be able to say, oh yeah, definitely, well, that's interesting, they make that much here, and compare it to where you live in your own country or even other parts of Thailand. And of course, I think it's always interesting to compare and see the difference. But nevertheless, that's it for today, guys. I hope you got some kind of value out of it. Don't forget, as always, before we go, like that video and do subscribe if you haven't, because if you haven't, you're not going to be getting any more content. The algorithm won't throw it up in front of you, or maybe it will, who knows. But nevertheless, guys, thanks again, and we'll talk to you very soon.